Our bodies are our most cherished assets, especially for us women. Join me in this journey of learning, caring, and loving our bodies in Your Body Tubilano. Hi, and welcome to the first episode of Inside Your Image Talks with me, Allidah. And in this season, we are focusing on body confidence, and we are calling this season Your Body Tubilano. In this episode, we are addressing breast health, and my guest today is the founder and director of Breast Cancer Care Foundation Malawi, Tabitha Warwrick. Hi, Tabitha.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
It is a pleasure having you here. I am so delighted that we get to have this conversation, particularly looking at the fact that we are in Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yes.
Hence why we are all in pink, in case you were wondering. It's a pink party. So when we had the conversation earlier about breast cancer, what was your inspiration, first of all, towards opening this breast cancer care foundation?
I got involved because I had my own experience here. I've been living here for 11 years, so yeah, my home is here, and I might not be Malawian, but I have the same options as everyone that lives here does.
No, you qualify now. You passed 10 years.
Thanks.
So.
I think so too. That's how I feel.
No, that's good.
So I realised that more needed to be done, more access to the medical facilities that we do have, and to help develop the medical facilities, and to try my best to spread awareness. I've worked in female empowerment projects the whole time I've been living here, and I realised that there just is a huge gap with women recognising that they count, recognising that they are valuable, recognising that their health is important, and then bridging that gap, between realising that and not having the facilities that you need to keep yourself healthy. So with my experience working here, and with my experience with breast cancer scares and biopsies, etc., I realised that something needed to be done.
Oh, wow.
And thought, well, I'll give it a go and try my best, and here we are.
And you did well.
Thank you.
And you did well, because this conversation is way long overdue. Something that we don't like to talk about, but we need to be having this conversation. Now, I know that internationally, statistics do suggest that Black women are more likely, about 40% more likely to die from breast cancer, to be diagnosed with the disease as well. If we narrow it down and we bring it to Malawi, what are the stats looking like?
So again, things are so limited here in terms of breast cancer. At our clinic, we see that hardly anyone actually knows about breast cancer. They're coming in because it's been suggested to them at the clinic.
Wow.
Yeah, so people actually don't come and seek these services until they realise that something is wrong. So to answer your question about what the statistics are showing worldwide about Black women, what it shows so far is that women who are Black are less likely to do self-breast examination, are less likely to have access to information about breast cancer and what to look out for. And so these women are coming to the doctor when it's in later stages, when the cancer has reached later stages, which means, of course, that sadly there's less options to help them through it.
This scares me.
Yeah.
This scares me simply because it means now we don't have the information to, guide us in terms of when women are, especially, talking in the Malawi context, when women are more likely to be diagnosed because people are not coming in for checks. Or which kind of women, in which demographic. Worldwide average, what's the average age?
So worldwide, anyone over the age of 38 needs to be getting checked every year. So your risk factors worldwide for everyone, the stats have shown so far are age, the older you are, the more likely you are to be diagnosed, or your risk is higher.
Yeah.
Family history, if mother, auntie, cousin, sister, grandmother have been diagnosed with breast cancer, and or if they have had any issues with their breast before, whether that be cysts that needed biopsy, you are higher risk. Your own personal problems, of course, in your breast before, so we're talking about the same. So lumps and bumps, dimpled skin, different coloured skin, different texture skin, nipples that will be leaking, anything like that. If you've had those issues previously, then again, it will more likely raise your risk of being diagnosed. And then actually having dense breasts. So if your breasts are heavy, or if they're thick, for example, these are your risk factors. But here in Malawi, when we talk about age, of course, as I've explained, the services are limited and the knowledge is limited. So our statistics really are very, very basic. They are not a good idea of what most women, i.e. the demographic, are actually facing. But sadly, in Malawi, the average age of diagnosis for cancer is 33.6.
What?
Years. Yeah. It's unbelievable. It's so scary.
You are scaring me right now because I just turned 33.
Yeah.
And now I'm thinking, oh my goodness. But thank goodness I do get my yearly checks. So I know I am okay. In terms of this, lack of information, the lack of statistics that we do have, would you say that it's due to the poor awareness that has been there in the past, or rather the awareness that is non-existent in the past? Or because if I think about it, if people are not being taught about it, then people will not care for it.
Exactly. I think there are a number of issues, and of course we need to try and keep things simple. As humans, that's what we try to do, but obviously there are lots of different factors, and of course Malawi is unique and it's not going to be the same as everywhere else. But yes, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Awareness is key. Even if we lived in a country where we had 1 million hospitals and we had 20 breast clinics in every single village, if people don't know what to look out for, they're not going to seek the services. So awareness has to be number one.
True.
If you don't know how to check yourself, you're not going to know what to look out for. If you don't check yourself at all, that you're not going to seek services that you don't need. Awareness is key. And I think that as women, it's really important for us to keep talking about it, keep encouraging each other to get screened, keep letting each other know, oh, I found a place here, this doctor helped me here, this is my experience, because it seems scary. All the things I mentioned before that we're looking out for, the lumps, the change in skin texture, the nipple changes, all of these things seem really, really scary. They don't always mean cancer at all, but they are always a reason to get checked out. And we need to remind each other of that.
That is true. That is so true. And talking about reminding each other, I remember we also, when we had our conversation earlier, I know this series rather is dedicated for women and girls, but I also learned that breast cancer can affect men too.
And it's all the same risk factors: age, family history, dense breasts. These are all the same risk factors. And I think it's really important, thank you for bringing that up, because what this means is the scary stats that we heard about breast cancer also apply to men. So breast cancer affects every single person.
So long as you've got
as long as you have, and I think it's important for us to discuss this, because men do have breast tissue, and your breast tissue starts from your clavicle up here, and it goes all the way across to your armpit. So if you have any tissue in that area, you can be affected.
So it's not just about this
lumpy,
it's
not just about the jiggles. It's not just about that. It's about the whole area.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We're truly learning today.
Yeah.
So at what age would you recommend that people start to go and have their screening done?
Okay, so that's quite a hard question for me to answer because, like we said, worldwide,
yes,
we know that breast cancer is the most common form of cancer. We know that breast cancer accounts for 30% of cancers. We know that breast cancer is the leading cause of cancer death in women.
Yeah.
But Malawi doesn't have the full statistics. It doesn't have the full range. Now, like we said, we know that cancer in Malawi, average age in women is 33. So I would personally say there is no harm in checking from 30 years old, especially if you have those risk factors. And my clinic, for example, there are lots of other clinics like at Queen's, they're totally free.
Yes.
There is no reason not to come. If you want to come 3 times a month, come, you're welcome, come. Come and see us, come and get checked. If you are concerned about anything at all, come and get checked. Even if it looks like it's just a spot, come and get checked.
And it hasn't been there the whole time, but all of a sudden you notice it that day. Please go get checked.
There is no reason not to come and get checked.
When I was reading, obviously I was doing my research as well, and I read somewhere that, you know, in the United States, they're starting to witness girls or women as young as 23 being diagnosed. Would you say that this could also be in relation to maybe genetics? Or
so genetics plays probably the largest part in your risk factors. So again, even with men, it is really important to know. So when people come to our clinic, you could make the mistake of asking, do you have breast cancer in your family? Is there a history of breast cancer in your family? But again, we're living here, and here people don't know that breast cancer is a thing. They don't know that it's something that exists, and they don't know or understand that it's something that can affect us and is dangerous. So the question to ask is, have there ever been any issues, any abnormalities, any discomfort in your mother, your sister, your cousin, your auntie, your grandmother's breasts? Have they ever gone to the doctor for any reasons that have been concerning? And that is where you start from. And if the answer is yes, no matter what age you are, as soon as you're comfortable, come and get screening. But most importantly, self-breast examination a week after your period if you have them, and if you don't, pick a number each month. That's the number that's the date that you're going to check yourself.
And I think I really like what you said, that, you know, have those conversations with family. And I think one of the biggest challenges here in Malawi is that in our culture generally, we are not expressive people, and so we don't have some of these sensitive conversations with our parents or our elders, because it is the norm. It's just how it is. I don't know why, but I think it's time that we start to change that narrative to be able to be open about things. And I say this because I've been taken back to 2-3 years ago. I lost an aunt to cervical cancer, and it would have been a situation that probably would have ended up in a more positive way had she opened up about a sore that she witnessed down there. But she was very, you know, closed about it and didn't open up about it. And she just assumed, oh, maybe it's just one of those things. And unfortunately, it ended how it ended. Now, I think about it, and you also had mentioned in our conversation that breast cancer and cervical cancer, particularly here in Malawi, they seem to go hand in hand.
Yeah, they're linked. So if you have been diagnosed with cervical cancer, your risk of being diagnosed with breast cancer is much greater. If you've been diagnosed with breast cancer, your risk of being diagnosed with cervical cancer is much greater. And if you don't mind, I'd like to come back to the point that you were talking about. First of all, I'm really sorry to hear about your aunt. And second of all, early detection literally saves our lives. You can live a very normal, healthy life after seeking treatment in both of those cancer cases, if you have detected it early. And the only way to detect it early is to check ourselves. And one of the ways to check ourselves regularly is for us to remind each other. Now, as women, as you've explained, in Malawi culturally, but worldwide, sadly, as women, we are encouraged to
not talk about
it. Keep up a good front. Don't cause a fuss. Don't cause any issues or problems for anyone else. Now, truth be told, that's ridiculous. Our health has to come first, because we can't do all of the things that equal
they require
women,
us to do.
Yeah, unless we are healthy.
Exactly.
If we're not healthy, then we can't even perform our female duties.
Exactly.
Health has to come first. But I think us valuing ourselves enough, us empowering each other, will lead to us beginning to create and engage with a culture that means that we look after ourselves.
Yes.
And that is so important.
Which is so important, because I always say, if we don't look after ourselves, if we don't take charge of our bodies, who will?
That's right.
You know, because
right.
literally our lives depend on it in this case. So you talked about risk factors, just for obviously the audience. What do you mean when you talk about risk factors? Are these like the telltale signs?
So these are the pointers, the markers that are going to make us more likely to be diagnosed. So that's the age, the family history, the dense breasts, and as you mentioned, the cervical cancer link as well. So those are your risk factors. Those are the things that are going to make you more likely to be diagnosed with breast cancer. And of course, as I explained before, the lumps, the bumps, the change in skin, the change in nipple, that doesn't mean, the risk factors and those things to look out for, that doesn't mean that it is breast cancer. It doesn't mean you are going to get breast cancer. It just means that you need to try to remind yourself and remind your family members to get checked regularly and to seek help as soon as you can. And I understand. I really, having been in this position, I really understand that feeling for self-preservation. And actually, sometimes, especially here, some shame that can come with it.
Exactly.
But I think our power, our female power, has to overcome that, and our need and want to protect our sisters, our mum, our aunties, our daughters, our cousins, has to come before that kind of societal shame, which has no place in our lives.
Exactly. And it's unfortunate that, I think we're always going to have the fear of that in every area, in any disease, actually, because we just naturally do not like to disclose our challenges to people. We just don't feel like we want to burden.
It's hard to be vulnerable, isn't it?
It definitely is. It definitely is. So I do hope that, after having this conversation, people do start to think twice about it, start to open up more, because like you said, prevention is definitely much better than cure. And even if you don't have any breast cancer, any history of breast cancer or cervical cancer in the family, you should still take that initiative to say, let me go and have myself screened just to be safe, because our bodies are changing and hormones. What's the name? What's the term? Hormones
up and down a lot.
Are always on a roller coaster, and they can sabotage. They can be traitors. Honestly.
And I feel like it's important because of that. Like, as women, for us to accept that those are our changes and to embrace them, and to kind of again recognize that as women, it is so important for us to be in touch with ourselves. And what better way of making sure that we are healthy than to check our breasts, which are the things that we are most likely to get cancer with.
Yeah, that is so true. And so I think one of the fears also for women is, so now what happens? What if I go, I get diagnosed and they found that, yes, I do have a lump in there and it happens to be cancer. then what?
Yeah, thanks for asking that, actually. I'd like that opportunity to explain what will happen. You'll go to a clinic. In our clinic, Breast Cancer Care Foundation clinic at the Dream Centre. Yeah. We're open Wednesday and Friday mornings. Everything is totally for free. You walk in, you sign a registration form, you come in. We have a radiographer who is going to do a sonogram. It takes 5 minutes. It doesn't hurt. No one touches anyone. It's just the machinery. We have our female nurse assistant who, at the time that you're being scanned, will talk to you about your family history and also teach you self-breast examination. And then after that, there are many things that can be seen that are considered normal or non-suspicious that still need to be checked. So you'll come back every 3 months, you'll come back every 6 months until we know that this is normal for you. Each person's body is different and each person's body has their own normal going on. After that, you will be sent for a biopsy, and that will then, what that is when a piece of the tissue is taken from the part, whether that's a cyst or a mass, and will be taken and tested. And there are lots of different types of breast cancer. Actually, there's 7 different types of breast cancer. Yeah. So again, it's really important for us to be checking ourselves. Yeah, I mean, it's terrible to say, but breast cancer is common. It is the most common form of cancer worldwide in women. You know, it's important for us to just be keeping on top of our health. So we go back to the biopsy, we get that done, and then the doctor will explain whether, because what's available here is whether you do chemotherapy first to shrink the mass and then have the mastectomy, which is where they remove the breast tissue, or if you remove the breast tissue first and then get the chemotherapy after that. Like I have explained, there are many, many women who are on the wards. There are many women who have gone through this themselves. And we actually have an amazing group of breast cancer survivors for Breast Cancer Care Foundation. So at Breast Cancer Care Foundation, we also do survivor counselling as well to talk through what to expect and what's going to happen. And actually part of our incentive is to try and develop medical options, and one of those is that we're going to create a physiotherapy leaflet so that post chemo and post operation people will know how to look after their sites.
Oh wow. So aside from first of all, that's very encouraging, because then at least I know, like, someone out there is probably been thinking, you know, I'm feeling a lump, my breasts are feeling heavier than usual, and maybe there's just been that fear in the back of their head that, I guess, okay, fine, there's options for me. Aside from Breast Cancer Care Foundation Malawi, where else is it that people can walk to here in Malawi?
Again, thanks for asking that. It's really important for us to know. So Queens on a Tuesday morning have a clinic. So if you go to the ENT and ask for your appointment for Tuesday morning, they have, and everything gets done there as well. So they have their full clinic there. Again, they have the ultrasound. They do have a mammogram machine, but it's not working at the moment. Neither is some of the private hospital ones. But again, we're all just trying our best here. So we're going to wait for that to improve. And if not, we're going to find another way to figure that out. And then at both the private hospitals, Maiwatu and Malamulo, they also have
and Malamulo.
They also have the surgeon, the biopsy, the mammogram when it's working. And again, self-breast examination is crucial. I know that you're probably going to find lots of lumps and bumps, which is why you're going to do it every single month. I want to go back to you talking about the fear and understanding what to do next. So you're going to do it every month so that you know what is normal for you and you know what's not normal for you. And again, more people that we see that come in with lumps and bumps have no cancer. They're just lumps and bumps. They're just things that we need to keep an eye on, and they are not cancerous. So it's okay if you find a lump or bump. It's okay if you have that skin change. It's okay if the nipple looks like it's a different shape. Go and see someone, and more often than not, you'll actually be reassured that this is just maybe a hormonal change, or maybe it is that your mum also has those lumps and bumps too. But more often than not, it's not cancer, but every time it's a reason to go and get checked.
That's true. I like the fact that you highlighted, you know, it's the normal is different for everyone.
Yeah.
Now, I'd read somewhere that, you know, sometimes if you do have cysts in the breast, sometimes they do have like a little bit of a pinch, and if some like a very silent pain. It's not so obvious, but however, I think that also causes somebody to be scared, because we do know that cells that are cancerous in the breast or anywhere else in the body, they do come with pain.
Yeah, so actually I think that of course you're right, there are some lumps and bumps that do come with pain, particularly in the armpits. Yeah, those ones are quite painful, but unlike other cancers, the reason that breast cancer can quite often go unnoticed, especially if we're not aware of the information, and if we're not testing ourselves, is because it's actually painless. So those lumps and bumps specifically in the breast tissue, like quite deep in the breast tissue, it's not painful. It's not causing you, as far as we would understand just living our normal life, any harm. So why would we notice it? So it's much later that people come in to get checked, when the lump has got bigger. And again, it's also why people aren't alarmed, why people don't act quickly, because it doesn't generally hurt. But as you say, of course, there are always those lumps and bumps, like they're kind of a bit of a pain.
It's just like it happens every once in a while where you just feel the and you're like, ooh, what was that?
And again, that's a reason to come and see us. We're for free. We're open every Wednesday and Friday morning. There is no reason not to come and see us, because everything is worth checking. If you're comfortable to do that, come. We see it all. That's why we're there.
Absolutely. Oh, I love it. I love it. So any, as we're wrapping up, any last words that you would like to give our audience, our ladies here in Malawi? And when I say ladies, I am specifically talking about all. I'm not just talking about Black women, okay? I'm talking about all of us. I'm talking about the Tabithas, okay? I'm talking about our Asians, every woman who is living in this country. This is for you, because at the end of the day, we all have boobs. We all have breasts.
Yeah, and we need to look after them.
And our bodies are the same. They might be different, but they're still the same. Any last words that you have for our women?
Actually, to add to that, it's just that we are important. We matter.
We are.
Our bodies are valuable.
Yeah.
And we, as women, generally, especially here in Malawi, culturally, have a lot to teach other people. And so it's so important for us to look after ourselves. And like I say, there are options. And if there is ever any questions, please direct them to this beautiful lady here, or to Breast Cancer Care Foundation, because there is no question that is silly. There's no question that's not worth asking.
Absolutely.
Because we matter.
Absolutely.
So ask away.
We do.
Come and check. And please, please spread the word. Please explain to each other what you heard. Please explain to each other about your experience, and don't ever be ashamed of it. Whenever you're comfortable to, please share it, because there is so many other people that are actually going through it, and there are so many other people who are probably feeling the same way you are.
Absolutely.
So just keep staying strong with each other, you know.
That is so true. Staying strong with each other. Thank you so much, Tabitha, for taking your time to share this wisdom and this knowledge and everything else that, you know, for the majority, or rather for the small percentage of women who actually follow topics of this nature. You have definitely added more value to that, and I know that this is also going to add more value towards the others who have never had this conversation before. And that was the whole aim of us having this conversation. And I am so grateful that you're open to, you know, receiving questions. What we will do, we will add Tabitha's information in the description, as well as all the other social media posts that we do put up running this chat for today. So thank you so much, Tabitha.
Well, thank you for providing this opportunity and for providing a platform for female empowerment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And there you have it, ladies, girls, women, old and young. Let's be proactive and go ahead and get our breasts checked from whatever age it is. Once you notice something different, or when you're 30, please do yourself a favor. Treat yourself to going to get your breasts scanned, because the risk of breast cancer is higher than it has ever been, and prevention is better than cure. Also, this episode was brought to you today by Road to Relief, who have been the sponsors, and we are adding information on what Road to Relief does in the description as well. Thank you for taking your time to watch this episode today. See you next week. Bye.